to Parliament, they said that the Metro has disclosed significant doubt on its ability to continue operating as a going concern. I would like the mayor and possibly the CFO and the MM to speak to that as well. Do you believe that now, because I believe the report was from 2023-2024, that AG report, where are you now? Where is the municipality now? Will you be able to operate as a going concern? And I speak specifically, and I mention the CFO specifically because back then, the Metro was taking around 318 days to pay creditors. The Metro was, on average, taking 127 days to collect debt. So on those two, where is the municipality now? Chair, the AG also noted that 84% of the municipality debt is unlikely to be recovered. This was 2023-2024. Again, another question. Where are we now in terms of your debt recovery? And then lastly, Chair, 45% of key service delivery targets were achieved in 2024. And that took 111% of the budget spent. If that was the case then, what is the case now? What is the percentage of key service delivery targets that have been achieved in the past financial year? And how much is the budget? Thank you,
Okay.
Chair.
All right, thanks. Please respond. Just to say to you that on the issue of the going concern uncertainty, the AG says it was noted that little to no progress was made on several activities on quarter 2, quarter 3, as was indicated on your side to be in progress or not yet started. And then 46% of the activities within the FRP were achieved in quarter 3. So we're worrying about how you're actually lagging behind. And then we just wanted to take us out of the problem. What makes you think you have got this problem under control?
Thank you so much. I'm going to respond on this going concern matter, probably just to state that one of the reasons that led us to that mission that the city has a doubtful going concern prospects were based on the fact that we were under financial recovery. And when you're looking at the reasons why the city had to go through the financial distress and be put under intervention, number one, it was the collection rate at the time that was below 50%, and it was persisting over a period of time. Just to touch on that, currently, in the quarterly report of quarter 4 of the 2024-25 financial year, we have reported a collection rate of 99.96%. The report that has just been presented to the portfolio committee that is going to cancel on the 30th, due to the fact that we are now implementing credit control policy.
So which portfolio committee?
The IDP and performance, as well as the finance committee. We are now going tomorrow to the mayoral committee, and on Wednesday next week, we are sitting at the council meeting to table those reports for adoption. So I'm just trying to give an account of before and now. So our collection rate has been improving. When I'm looking at the average collection rate for 2024-2025, looking at the ups and downs of the financial year, I believe that the city is going to achieve an average of 82% compared to 73% in the 2023-2024 financial year. We are definitely making improvements. When you're looking at the policies that we tabled to council, Mangaung has separated the functions. The electricity distribution is done by Centlec, and one of the key strengths in collection is the use of electricity, suspension of the prepaid meters to force people to collect. We have now reviewed the policy of Centlec to accommodate the aspirations of the city to use them as part of the collection mechanisms, because as it stands, before 30 June 2025, we're mainly relying on the switching off of the prepaid water meters and the disconnection of meters. And I think we all understand the consequences that are sitting with that, especially the intervention from the Human Rights Commission, where they came to the city to say, as much as your policy allows for the trickling of your prepaid water meters, it becomes a human rights crisis when the trickling system is not dispensing the amount of water that you are intending and your policy is relating to. Going off the issue of the collection rate, one of the struggling areas when you're looking at that FRP, and one of the reasons that placed us under intervention is the overspending. I think I've spoken about it. You can go and look at the financial statements. We are spending almost about 800 million in excess of what is approved by council due to challenges that are within the budget, which we have adopted a 3-year plan of coming out of that quagmire. But in closing, Chairperson, when you're looking at the cash reserves of the city, as we reported in the report I was referring to, the city is standing at 1.2 billion cash in the bank today, though it is not enough to cover 3 months coverage, but we are sitting at 1.63 months of cost coverage looking at that. We have all agreements in place. I think the Premier and the MEC had spoken about all the mechanisms we have. And I think it has been in the news how we are doing well in terms of paying our bulk suppliers. The Val Central account is up to date. The agreement we have with them is being serviced according to the terms and conditions. We are working with, we are part of the ESCOM debt relief, and I think the Premier mentioned the fact that we did receive a write-off of 124 million by National Treasury through the debt relief program, which has not yet been finalized by ESCOM. But there are so many things that we are doing in the financial management space that is linking to the question that was asked earlier in terms of the prospects of turning the city around and make sure that it is financially healthy and it becomes sustainable. Thank you so much. On the days, probably, just to elaborate, our debtors collection days was actually not even 68 days that was mentioned. We are coming from 600 days to turn around on the debtors, and that ratio is reduced to 500, and we know that our target is under 90 days, but all the efforts of credit control and the cleaning of our indigent register is going to enable us and put us in the position where we want. In terms of creditors, Mangaung is doing good. We are currently sitting at 33 days turnaround time in paying creditors. That will be all from my side. Thank you.
Okay, next question, Fonse.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just quickly on the IPTN, apparently there is a council resolution in 2022 that this should have served within 14 days back then to MPAC. Why has that still not happened? I think that's very important for us to answer. Then why is the Metro struggling so much to spend conditional grants? And what measures are in place to ensure full-time utilization of grants? Because we have seen that there's a lot of money that's being spent, returned back to national and provincial Cogta. Then quickly on the debt collection, I think there's about 12 billion in your debtors book that needs to be collected, and you've appointed a service provider that will, I think, get 8% of whatever's collected. Has a progress report served at council? And if not, when will the first progress report serve at council regarding that? Then talking about the
All right, round up.
Talking about the UIFW and the 3.1 billion that the MM said since 2019 has not been investigated. I think that was one of the opening remarks. All of that has been written off. Now, Mayor, I think you need to really focus on this because consequence management is lacking surely, because what 3.1 billion rand could have done is done 12,400 RDP houses. It could have done 2,800 kilometers of power grid infrastructure. It could have fixed 500,000 water leaks. It could have fixed 885 potholes. And that's what the city is struggling with, all of those things. But you can, because of a lack of consequence management, not do those things.
Okay.
So that's the problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to enter into the questions that were dealing with the debt collection companies. Indeed, we've appointed 7 debt collectors. They started the project in March. The first reports had been coming through from April, May, and June. We haven't taken a report as yet to the Finance Committee that will end up in Council, but in the reporting month of August, we'll be giving them the first 3 months of performance of those contractors appointed. Just to close it, in our tender specifications and the award, we have not awarded the collection on government because we want to pursue cooperative governance in as far as engaging all the departments that are owing the city, and the only part that they are collecting is your residential as well as business. And I think in our report we have actually gave you the balances of the debtors of all the consumer types that we have as a city. Probably coming to the UIFW, the point that the city manager is making is that there hasn't been any investigation. And we have outlined the process that we want to follow. We are saying we cannot preempt the outcomes or the recommendations of MPEC to council, whether to write off or to recover. At this point in time, we have broken it down to say what MPEC can start with, because under our UIFW reduction strategy, our target is 50% for 2025-2026. And in the reports we've provided to them as the finance department is that under your fruitless and wasteful expenditure, which in the main, it is interest on overdue accounts of ESCOM as well as Val Central, which in terms of the agreement in any way, they will be written off at a later stage, but they don't have an option but to raise that interest. That is the 346 million we are talking about. So we are saying in the report, this can be investigated and be dealt with because it's got a history, how it came about, which was the collection rate and many other factors that we've already spoken about. Those other sectors like your irregular expenditure, the biggest problem in Mangaung was contract management. That led to irregular extension of contracts. In the last management meeting, because we've been working with Legal Services Department, I've been working with supply chain, we have developed now a manual for the city to manage contract amendment, contract extension under MFMA Section 33 as well as MFMA Section 116 because there was no clarity in the organization and people had to do what they thought it is possible to be done. And hence, when you're looking at the MIs that we have, 4 of the 16 MIs are emanating from the issues of contract management and contract extension. So we believe that with the manual we have written for the organization, it will give guidance and people have to follow through the detailed step-by-step processes that they must follow. Therefore, there's no write-off at this point in time. It will be dependent on the findings of the MPEC and the recommendations that they will make independently to council. Thank you. I think, CM, we can deal with the project management and underspending of conditional grants. Thank you.
No, thanks, Chair. The city did not have capacity to spend the grants, Chair, if I may put it that way. We had a top-heavy type of structure where you'd have HODs, probably general managers, but had no people with technical capacity to implement projects. So what we have done, we have started to fill those positions within our own limited revenue as the city, but we have prioritized mainly the technical positions, but we have also created supportive structures. We have created a project management office that is supporting the departments in terms of the projects, and I think you'll see that it's actually reducing. We are on a reduction space with regard to underspending, but we have also created what we call a project readiness task team that supports the departments within the city to ensure that the projects are ready, and this year we think we are on par and will be able to spend what has been given to us. And I think this current financial year that has just ended, you will see the fruits of what we have created starting to bear fruits. Thanks, Chair.
The next question, sorry. You had 5 questions. We'll come back. You had 5 questions. Move on.
If I can just reply to the last question.
What's the question you're answering?
The MPEG and IPTN story.
All right, hold on. Let's get the questions. You'll come back when we deal with that. We'll come back to the MPEG question. That's your question. Yes, you asked a question. He's going to come back. No. Let's try and combine. I'm just having a problem with the time management. So let's get your questions. You all come in. Let's try and combine more questions. Yes.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Just a question about unauthorized and irregular expenditure. You've given quite a bit of detail as to why that has been the case. But what I'm reading here is that the Metro reported total revenue of 6.85 billion in 2023-2024. However, the unauthorized expenditure was 7.8 billion, which is actually more than your actual revenue, and further 3.4 billion irregular expenditure. Was there anything that the Metro did that actually wasn't either unauthorized or irregular? So it appears that almost all your spending was unauthorized and irregular. And then the second point was with regards to ghost workers. So you've mentioned the fact that you're 60% understaffed. However, the Metro spent 81% of total cash it receives from its customers on employee-related costs totaling nearly 2 billion rand. So, and they just said it leaves very little to spend on service delivery. So, the story I want to ask here is: you mentioned the fact that there'd been an issue around ghost employees when it came to paying off overtime. What have you done to check in the municipality itself for ghost employees within your present payroll? So has there been a process to go through to check? Because obviously there's been an issue with overtime, but it does appear to me that if you've got a 60% vacancy rate, yet you're spending almost all your money on employee-related costs, so that just doesn't tie up, quite frankly. Thank you.
Namas? You're fine. Van Wyk, is there a new question?
No, Chair. I just want to add here. Want to add something. I just want to know, when it comes to the debt collection companies that you are speaking about here, CFO, you are saying there are 7 altogether. Nah? I just want to find out, did they all did they follow the proper supply chain processes? Do they have proper contracts? Is everything in order? Because I can tell you one thing here, that we do have information that not everything is proper when it comes to those companies. Thank you.
Okay. Let's start with your speaker. Let's go back to the MPEC. Then we've got the other questions. So if we can just distribute them in the meantime, come back to the MPEC issue.
Thanks, Chair. I find it rather difficult to comprehend the question by the Honourable Member, more so when she refers to the inability of Council to allow MPEC to consider the report in 2022. To the best of my knowledge, the IPTN report, the SIU completed their findings in 2023. I may not recall the dates from the top of my head, but I can recall that it had allowed the mayor a 90-day period to sift through the report and choose the best course of action to be followed. It also provided 3 critical areas. The first area was to undertake criminal proceedings against certain identified individuals, but it had also pointed to some internal disciplinary proceedings against certain officials who were part of that investigation. But lastly, it highlighted the need to undertake civil proceedings against contractors who were doing work for the municipality. And it was only in the aftermath of 2024 that we had the first meeting to consider the report, and there have been 5 meetings ever since 2024 to look at the final implications of the report. The 30th of June, when this report was also tabled before Council's consideration, it had allowed MPEC to advise us on certain areas of the report, particularly civil claims against contractors who were involved and in the irregular and fruitless expenditure associated with the IPTN. So I'm saying I find it difficult really to comprehend, because the report, I was not there in 2022. The report was not even concluded in 2022. It only came to the attention of the council towards the late quarter of 2023. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. I think for the members, if you have a different view on this, we'll need the information so that we can then take it further. Otherwise, I think we take this explanation. I'm going to allow one response, and we're going to take a short break. I wanted us to close everything before we go out for lunch, but we're having a problem with the time now. So I'll only allow one response. We'll break for 30 minutes. When we come back, we'll take 10 minutes and close this, because we've gone beyond our time. Yes, whoever is responding, that's fine.
Thank you. On the unauthorized expenditure, the numbers that the Honourable was looking at, those are accumulated over a period of time. I think from the response of the city manager, we indicated that the last time we investigated UIFW was in 2019, and to date we are sitting with about 7 billion of unauthorized expenditure, but that in the financial statement it is broken in on an annual basis. So that is a cumulative figure. In as far as the employee cost, we fully agree with you. When we do the assessment of the city spending on employee cost versus the total revenue, the city is spending about 42%, which is abnormal. When you're looking at the norms and standards, the average spending on personnel should be between 28 and 33%. But when you go back to the FRP, they've identified the reasons for the high salary bill in Mangaung. Number one, it is the remuneration system, which needed to be changed. You would understand the whole development of our remuneration in local government to the decisions that were taken around 2013 of the implementation of the task system. But the city now has adopted the task implementation that will replace the Funda Merwe system of remuneration. But also the old organogram, because we've got a new organogram that has been approved by council on the 30th of June. The old organogram had number of heads of over 7,000. I think the total number then is 7,200. That is where the ratio of 62% vacancy is coming from. When we were revising the organogram, we had to go back to the basics and understand the process of determining the number of personnel that should work for the municipality, which is the ratio of employees against the population and employees against the household, which gave us a ratio of a minimum of 4,500 and a maximum of 5,100. Now, the next process after the approval of the organogram will be the placement of the people from the old organogram to the new organogram. That will reduce the vacancy rate that will come out of that, because in the old organogram, we are currently sitting with 4,200 against the over 7,000 people are talking about. And in the new structure, we will be sitting with 4,200 against a 5,200 total number of employees. Therefore, that ratio is going to reduce significantly. I think we have alluded to how this is impacting on overall performance of the organization, especially looking at the allocation of the budget towards functions like your maintenance, which is currently sitting at 3%, an improvement from 0.59% in 2022-2023. So we are improving on how we appropriate budget to areas of importance that are focusing on service delivery. I will end it there. Thank you.
Just before you come in, Mayor, you know what's confusing with the whole explanation? You are running overtime of 120 hours, which means you have more work than people. Then you are bloated beyond the norm of 4,000 by almost another 4,000, maybe just under 4,000. And you still do overtime. And then you're still short-staffed. How does that work? I mean, there's something that is weird going on here, because we can't be losing money on overtime on a bloated establishment. You see, the Mayor, you might want to come in here. There's a problem with the arithmetic. Mayor Ngangen.
Yeah, no, Chairperson, thank you. The structure that has just been worked upon was top down, meaning it was heavy-headed in terms of those that were on top. But I'm going to ask the CFO and the city manager to go deep into that, because the assignment we gave them was that make sure that we have a lean and mean structure that will address, amongst others, the issues of overtime, as well as making sure that we address what we are supposed to. The question that I wanted to deal with, Chairperson, is the one that was talking to the appointment of service providers on the collection of our debts. I wanted to deal with that question in a nutshell to say the issue at hand was that the entire tender was given to a single company. We have since unbundled it. And in the process of unbundling it, we've made sure that each area of collection is not given to a singular company, spread across. And I must indicate that it went through a process of advertisement, people applied. Seated here, I am not aware of any irregularity around it. But should there be any, I really would invite such, because we have got limited room to allow shenanigans. So we are not aware of any, but I am satisfied insofar as how the cake was spread amongst companies, so that people must focus in terms of making sure that we get our monies from wherever the money of the municipality is to date. Now, if I may ask the CFO or the city manager to respond to what you requested, Chair.
No, you will respond just now. Just to say, the question raised by Honorable Van Wyk, if there's evidence here, let's deal with it that way now. That there are people, there are companies, service providers who have no agreement in place, who have no contracts in place. So that's the reference. That's the one issue. The issue around the UIFW and the MPEC is come up for those three members are raising the same issue. The problem here is that your response is you have not investigated UIFW since 2019. And you have, 7 billion of unmanaged. How much? 7 billion, which has not been processed. And when we asked the question about MPEC, now the members were saying, one member was saying reports were blocked. The other member was saying, when did that meeting happen? There's a mismatch here. You got 7-point-something billion rands worth of UIFW, which has not been investigated and processed, and yet MPEC is working. And we have got, over that period, we still have MPEC to still table those issues and process them. When is this going to be processed, and when is MPEC coming? And when the members say the MPEC was blocked, and the mayor and the speaker say it was not blocked, so what is stopping the MPEC from processing all of this thing? If it was not blocked, and we've got no work since 2019, and today is over 7.1 billion rand that's not been processed, what actually is the problem? Because you are saying, you didn't block it, so it should be working properly. And at the beginning, the question was whether is it operating, and the MM was vehement that actually it's there. What the AG is saying is not correct. The MPEC is working, the audit committees are working, the internal audit is working, and of course we did read that, in fact, you are not processing these reports. So that to me is the proof. So just explain that so that you can understand what you're telling us.
Chairperson, I thought the answers that came earlier were relevant enough to the issue, but if I may recap.
Yes, please recap.
Yeah. The answer that came was that instability could not allow operational ability by the Metro. as a result, systems were dysfunctional. 2023 October, life started with the metro to bring things to normality. That include all committees, including MPEC, to begin to have a proper infrastructure to address the issues. That's one. But if you look into the report that we gave to the portfolio committee, it then outlined when are we going to be able to address UIFW as a metro, but equally so, the report that we gave as a supplement, it would then speak to when did normality come into the fore with the metro. So the CFO was reading that in 2025, 2026, a particular, I can't remember the percentage, but I remember they were indicating, if you remember that.
No, don't worry, we remember the percentage.
Yeah, so those are systems that we are saying to redress the imbalances that we come from. And with effect that MPEC must address some of this unauthorized expenditures and other related aspects. Only then we'll be able to can do that. That does not suggest we are referring issues to MPEC. And the notion that there is a contradiction with regard to cooperating with MPEC, nor any other MPEC committees or even Chapter 9 institutions, we are hard at work, Chairperson, to ensure that we collaborate, cooperate, and provide the necessary required, desired report that are coming from our side. The only problem that might be there could be that we may not be on point in terms of answering as a learning curve, but cooperation is there.
Okay, look, let me just put it this way. We've seen these percentages. When you've got 7.1 billion rand outstanding in processing since 2019, and then you say to us some of this will only be solved in 2027, 28, it's very problematic for us to understand what this is all about. And it becomes a problem in the sense that normality came back here, was restored in 2023. We are now towards the end of 2025. You see, so that's really why we're still not getting a sense that this MPEC is working. That's really where the problem is. Okay, now that's why you get these questions. You can't say today. That means by 2019 you have not investigated. Okay, you had a reason why you didn't up until 2023. Going forward, you are now going to give us another 3-4 years before we can finalize this thing. Is that reasonable?
I thought Speaker would deal with the...
Let Speaker deal with it.
Yeah, but I want to just raise this, Chairperson, for the meeting to know that 2021 to 2023 and the issues that are under review and we are dealing with belong to that period. That period, Chairperson, had 7 municipal managers and 2 administrators, some of which left with the property of the municipality in the form of documentation that actually makes things difficult for us to even follow consequence management and other related issues. And some of those things are the ones that are part of the report that comes from AG, which we are not questioning because they are and they belong to the municipality. So the long and short of what I'm painting before the municipality is that, before the committee is that we should also be understood where we come from in terms of the difficulty of even tracing matters that are before us in terms of documentation. And we are not saying one doing that, but this is the difficulty with which we are faced with as we speak currently. Now I'm going to ask maybe the CFO to come in and then the Speaker will then deal with MPEC.
Okay, let me ask us to do it this way because it keeps dragging. You will come back now, 2:15, you will come back. Somebody's going to just explain to us how we're going to have lunch so that we can break and for 30 minutes and then come back. Who's going to give us this, Deputy Speaker?
Thanks, Chair. So the members and HODs from the provincial government